whatever's about to happen is inevitable. Whatever drawback is on the way, Emu has a rhythm of his own. Dreamed about what human evolution would be like. Vegapunk said, what if Emu doesn't even have that drawback of the ocean? Black lightning. Yo, this shit is ridiculous. Like, and we see Saint Nerona. This design is so good. Those kind of eyes might be like a staple in Japanese culture. Okay, what's going on, y'all? First video back. It is Sweeves. I had to come back for this. This chapter is crazy. We just gonna kind of start in the middle. Well, we're gonna start with the end, which is basically Emu's design. The whole Emu shenanigans. Like, I'm a little, you know what I'm saying? And we just gotta talk about this shit. I got work in like an hour, no, like 2:30, but we gotta yap about this. So first thing I want to talk about is how these Gorosei niggas was tweaking. They was dead tweaking. Workery and Mars was tweaking. They like, but still. And he like, if Great Emu leaves this castle, the but still was Mars. Y'all know, y'all read the chapter. Hopefully y'all read. If y'all ain't read the chapter, I don't know what the fuck y'all doing here. But the way they tweaking, it's like, bro, whatever's about to happen is inevitable. Whatever drawback is on the way, like whatever impending consequence or circumstance is coming to Emu, I feel like it's gonna happen regardless if he's careful or not. Like, I do think there's gonna be some timeline shenanigans. I mean, not timeline shenanigans, but time limit shenanigans, because that's how Oda likes to write. And I mean, it would make sense for what we're seeing, just for him to be on some kind of like at least mental time limit. Like, I shouldn't be out here past however many minutes or whatever. I think that something is gonna like happen as a byproduct of this, and it's gonna be inevitable, which brings me to, it doesn't directly bring me to the next part, but we're gonna skip ahead in the chapter a little bit to when the black lightning came out of the fucking sky. But this time it's different because it was the full 5 pillars of the pentagram, and the pentagram with the magic circle is in the sky. Like, it is literally spanning the sky. So we see that happen. There's fire on the ground where the circle is. It's like around the castle in the village. And Emu has a rhythm of his own, just like Nika, just like Joy Boy, just like Luffy, whoever you wanna, say has the dum 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 dum. Emu has a rhythm of his own. What I'm curious about immediately when I saw this chapter was, how does Luffy's rhythm work alongside Emu's? Like, if Luffy were to transform into Gear 5 at the same time that Emu was appearing, what would those two rhythms sound like together? Would they clash? Would they actually some kind of way be in tandem? Because one of my original interpretations of the mural is that if you look over here to the right, you see this Emu-like figure, and you see all of these people collecting maybe energy souls, something similar to lineage factors in the past to create devil fruits. Maybe they were more like desires. But the part where it says the slaves wished and prayed and the sun god appeared and the earth god grew furious, and with the hellflame serpent enveloped the world in death and darkness, he and they could not meet again. Right? I think that at the time, Emu was like the king of the slaves or some shit like that. Like, well, this was just one of my theories, that Emu was like in charge of the slaves and shit, right? And Joy Boy was one of the slaves, and it says the slaves wished and prayed. Or not Joy Boy, but Nika, the original Nika. It says the slaves wished and prayed, the sun god appeared. I think Emu was their king, but Joy Boy ended up becoming their god. And my original interpretation from this was that the earth god was a third party. And whatever Joy Boy had going on was blasphemous to the earth god, and that happened. But then in the second world, when it says people killed the sun and became gods, notice the sea god doesn't get mentioned to that. And before this recent chapter, there was, I still do think there's a lot in the story that could lead you to believe that Emu was the sea god, but this recent chapter is like he's the devil. But in my opinion, that doesn't mean that he's not one of the figures in the story. But devil's fruit is kind of like, if you're a sea god, why would why would you have devil's fruit? But I'll get into that, and I'll get into it a little bit more in the next video, but I'll talk about it. But when it says people killed the sun and became gods, then it says the sea god rampage. I think that details Emu's ascension to truly becoming immortal and becoming a god. And I think it's through either exhausting the mother flame or actually killing Nika of the time, or both. The reason why I was so curious as to how their rhythms react with each other is because I did see a world where once upon a time they were like close together, if that makes sense. Like they were like formidable foes to each other, like not just in the way that we always thought they were, where it's like, oh, we're on two different sides of like two entirely different factions, but in a way where they were like, they had a lot more intimate relationship before the beef happened. And even like let's say back then with the slaves in the mural, where is the mural? Oh, that it wasn't even necessarily like a bad thing. Like when Emu was the king of the slaves, maybe they enjoyed it actually. They just they just like wished for more. They just dreamed about what human evolution would be, like Vegapunk said. And like one of the first dreams that everybody, I guess, collectively had for one person, or one person had that was strong enough, created Nika. And like, maybe Emu was fond of him before that. They had somewhat of a relationship, and it went sour when all of that happened, because Emu was like, yeah, nah, this is not how it was supposed to go. Like, you weren't supposed to be the important one. Like, I'm still the important one. It's just like I don't even know how the fuck this happened, honestly. And maybe that's why Emu's thing is like something I feel like that's different, because it's katakana, not kanji. And my friend who speaks Japanese was telling me like I'm pretty sure y'all have also seen breakdowns. They would use that to indicate that this is something foreign. This is something different. Like, this is something that's separate from every other time we see devil fruit. So that's one thing I also want to say about that I'll get into a little bit more in the next video, because I'm talk about the fruit more in the next video. But about the sea god thing, what if Emu doesn't even have that drawback of the ocean? Because Emu doesn't necessarily have a devil fruit, or maybe a dream fruit as we know it. Devil fruit might be government propaganda, like the term ancient weapons. I gotta thank my boy MD for pointing that out, that devil fruit might really just be government propaganda. But like, there's things in the story that are labeled as like violent, like devil child, ancient weapons, and we know these things. Shirahoshi, Robin, like come on now, devil child and an ancient weapon. Now, is Shirahoshi powerful? Yes, but she's not a weapon. She's a princess. That difference in the devil fruit could have been due to the difference in the process back then of how it was created. Basically, my theory is that Nika fruit was the actual first like devil. Let me get in the camera, you know what I'm saying? Devil fruit. But like, as I said, I don't think any of those are actually devil fruits. I think they're dream fruits. Like, honestly, ever since Vegapunk said that, I've thought that like, I didn't necessarily think it was government propaganda though. I just thought maybe like the name got misconstrued somewhere, or it was just humanity's reaction to like otherworldly powers to label it devilish. But I always thought it was like, maybe these weren't like devil fruits. Maybe they were dream fruits. So yeah, now we get to when Emu arrives. Boom, all of that magic circle disappears and the sky clears in that area. Circle of clear, like vacuum in the sky, eye of the storm type shit in the clouds. Black lightning strikes the castle, you feel me? Hockey everywhere, exuding out that motherfucker, right? Then we go inside with this castle. Aus Castle. Is it Aus Castle or West Castle? Aus or West? Anyways, inside the castle, he lands hunched over. Well, honestly, I think he lands upright, and then he hunches over, coughs up blood, and it's like huffing, right? And I think that this goes into what I was saying earlier, as to like whatever's happening, it's inevitable. Like as soon as he started transforming, honestly, as soon as he landed, it's her cough, cough, huff, huff, cough, cough, and then as soon as he starts transforming, blood. But we see hockey and wings sprouting out of his back. And then when the wings come out, hockey starts really sprouting out from everywhere. But first we see hockey sprouting out of his back. Yo, this shit is ridiculous. Like, I didn't have a reaction when I watched it. Like, I have a reaction video. I damn near don't have a reaction now. Like, outside of me thinking, okay, there might be some time limit shenanigans and there's a drawback that's inevitable. I'm lost. Then we flip the page. We see all the black lightning. It's kind of like still going. We see all the houses dancing. Oh, did I mention that the houses were dancing? I know I mentioned the music, but he has the houses dancing and the tops of them are blackened out and they have like Halloween eyes, and they have teeth. And the top row of teeth is also blackened out. And when everything clears, we have Killingham and Summers. Killingham says, "Great one." Summers says, "You mean ... in person?" And somebody says, "Someone's up there on top of the roof of the castle." And we see Saint Nerona Emu, king of the world. I mean, this shit, I don't know what to say. Like, when I seen this shit, I literally just jaw dropped. He is sitting on top of a rooftop on the castle, right? But I think that it's symbolic to like Egyptian, like a pyramid. I think the way the panel is framed is symbolic to like him sitting on an Egyptian pyramid, because he has an Eye of Horus on his hand. And we know he's very obsessed with Nefertari Lily and Nefertari Vivi, which is the obviously, you know, the monarch family of Alabasta, which is the Egyptian influenced One Piece island. We know that Lily was one of the first 20 and Emu is one of the first 20. I'll also get into that a little bit more in the Devil's Fruit video, but this design is so good, and I'm an Emu hater through and through. This design is fucking amazing. I ain't gonna lie, this nigga is sexy. He fine. Like, I ain't gay, but like, you know, I see what a woman would see in this nigga. Like, you know, I don't give a fuck. Fuck it. Nigga look good, bro. He got blood coming out his lip because he was just coughing up and shit before he transformed. He probably got his hand up so he can wipe that, most likely. But he has it's like a pole arm. It's kind of like a naginata with a zigzag blade. Or more like a spear. I don't know. It's not really a spear though, but it's not really like a naginata with a zigzag blade either, because just even if you straighten out that blade, the dimensions of the blade wouldn't be. There's something, I'm forgetting the word. I wonder if it's maybe an Egyptian weapon that is based on, because I'm thinking of a Japanese weapon that's not a naginata but similar to one that I believe women use, but it might also be based on an Egyptian weapon. I'm sorry, y'all. I can talk about weapons and swords and bladed weapons and swords and bladed weapons all day, I promise. But I'm not gonna bore y'all with that, in this video at least. Hockey coming out of him, clouds behind him. He has I don't know if this is around his weapon or on his back. I'm gonna wager just on his back all the time. But he has the clouds of fire. It seems like I don't know. Actually, this just seems like fire. But no, I can't say that. This is clouds. He has clouds on his back because even though it doesn't have the swirls in it like everything else, the wisps are the same texture as the clouds at the end of his pole arm that have the swirls in them. This just has the eyes, so we can't necessarily see it that it's clouds clearly, but he has the clouds on his back with eyes all in them, like the Mihawk Renegon eyes, you know. And I have to look into it, but it seems like those kind of eyes might be like a staple in Japanese culture. It might be that Mihawk and Renegon just were the first time we saw circles of niggas' eyes like that, but I don't think that's the case because everything about, like, if you think about Japanese media, when we see, and I'm not necessarily talking to none of y'all who are watching the video, I'm just reacting to shit I seen on Twitter because I'm an old man and I want to rant. I'm not old, but I want to rant like one real quick. When we see shit like in American movies and TV and film media and fiction, we see vampires and werewolves and superheroes and Sasquatches and fucking Bigfoot. Do we say, oh, that's a copy of every other fucking vampire and werewolf and Sasquatch and Bigfoot and superhero we've seen? No, because it's based off of like basically American mythology. Like America doesn't really have mythology, but those are kind of like our myths. Like those are our, we don't see shit like that and be like, oh, that's a copy of certain shit like that. The devilish features on Emu and the skin tattoos and the horns, these aren't a ripoff of any other mangaka. This is Japanese culture modernized.
It's kind of hard to say I'm having one, cause I done gave so many.